Trent,
There
I
we go.
don't know what I would do without you. I'm not gonna welcome everyone. Friday, July 23rd, 2020. We're sketching right now. Boom. Um, so silhouettes first. Consider your format. I'm using 12 by 16, which is, let me just change this, which is slightly larger than I would use for a 2-hour session. So depending on the shape and the size of your format, you're gonna have to do adjustments in either time. Uh, it may require a little bit more time to work on your painting, or adjustments on the composition, enlarging or shrinking. So I was able to print an image, and I'm gonna guide myself with the silhouette, and I'm gonna guide myself with the, especially with the ends or the areas where the silhouette is cropped. So the ear got a little bit cropped, so I think I'm just gonna do the full ear, but let me start with the height of this composition. How far is it gonna go to the left? So before I even do any lines, any potato shapes, what I call. So I'm just gonna go around and see how far up. I think that's gonna be okay. And then having done that, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my first silhouette. I love working with silhouettes because it's the best way for me to understand the size and the location of the masses or the shapes that are going to be more important in the painting. Um, if I do that, I know that I'll be able to make changes and adjustments as I go forward. Um, if I start with details right away, I won't be able to. So I think, yeah, I'm just going to do my first silhouette, which is this. And I invite you to pause and find out what kind of relationship your silhouette has with the format that you're using, because most likely it happens every single week with the pro of us. We forget that or overlook the fact that we may force the viewer to interrupt a path or a flow in looking at our painting. So anything that feels too close, too cropped, it may feel like not very controlled. So I invite you to make changes now. And I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm okay with this, but I wanna make sure that my painting does not go further than this much, 1 inch, because otherwise it just feels like it's not well thought of. Um, okay, so what I'm doing right now, after I do the potato shape, I'm just going over one more time and see if there's something that I can catch. A curve, a line, an area that I feel like needs to be, yeah, readjusted. Okay, so I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna start sketching also on the paper. I know that some of you use the digital image, but try to make some alignments between points of your silhouette. Yeah, so I know that this ear is a little bit lower. So right now I am making these changes. And these are changes that are hard to make, you guys. I know that we start working and then we barely have anything. And it's such a hard thing to do, to make a change right now. But that's why I don't include any details, because I want to make sure that I have the room and the space to do those changes. I think that's okay. So I just wanted to point those two things. And then there's this vertical with the fingers. Okay. So, and I think this is a little bit lower than the middle area. So I'm going to start right now doing my, so I did the potato shapes and I just refined some of the curvature of the outline. I also made sure that I had enough visual path around the main shape. so it doesn't feel like it's been cropped without my control. And let's not forget, uh, I may want to frame this, so we always need to leave a little bit more space between our silhouette and the edge, just because when you frame something, there's going to be 2/8 that's going to eat up the painting. So those things are important, if you ask me. It's the bleed. When I upload something that needs to get printed, they always put some red lines around it, and they say, be aware that things outside of that red line may not get printed. So pick up the habit of redlining your painting and making sure that things are not, unless you really want to, and it's really intentional, that you want something cropped for a specific reason that you will be able to remember and explain. Otherwise, leave some room between your figure and the space. I'm gonna do my structural lines. So I have the silhouette and I'm gonna start breaking it up. So I see a structural line separating the head and the ear. So, and then another structural line. I know that it's fuzzy, there's hair and it's not specific, but approximately. And then another, I'm gonna start with my fingers. I wanna include the fingers. Should I include the fingers? Yeah, I think so. There's something conceptually nice about showing someone holding him. So that's another structural line. And then Kian, when he was traveling last 2 years ago, so he travels a lot to China. I know that this has nothing to do with the assignment, but on his free time, his favorite thing to do is go shopping. So there's a market in Shanghai that sells stones, semi-precious stones and pearls and stuff. And on his free time, he always goes there and buys something. So in his last trip, before Ozzy passed away, someone made a collar of pearls for Ozzy. So anyhow, so yeah, I'm just gonna do that. We're fancy. So always find relationships, because I did it, it's too centered, so I need to lower it, make it larger, and then hide it. You guys, so yeah. Never mind, no more gossip, but maybe later. So I'm just gonna do the main structural lines on the face. So I'm not doing any nostril detail right now. I just want to capture that shape, and I know that I'll need to make some adjustments. So I've been working towards spending more time looking at the reference image or the live subject, and spending less time on my drawing, because I'm realizing that I'm able to gather much more information. So it's something hard to do, because it's very mechanical the way we do it. We flicker back and forth almost automatically, and in a very similar amount of time. Photo painting, and it becomes such a mechanical routine that we forget the purpose of looking at the subject. And the purpose is to gather visual data so we can make decisions when we translate it on the paper. So because that's the function, it means that it's more important to look at the subject and extract information than it is to find out if the look of our sketch is going well or not. As a matter of fact, I try to focus on that as a main activity right now, observing and extracting information. And whatever happens here, I see it as a consequence of that main function. And it's funny, because I was able to understand that before I was putting more emphasis on the sketch, and I was not um, giving importance to the info extraction. So I just had to switch and mentally rewire my brain to understand that what happens here, it's a consequence of what happens in my brain. And what happens in my brain, it's the result of looking at the subject. So look more and don't worry about what happens here, because that's just collateral, basically. Uh, and if you want to do the test about what I just said, which probably sounded very confusing, you can simply stop your hand from drawing and spend a few seconds extra looking. And you'll see how much information you'll get that you'll find useful to start drawing again. Very easy test. Multitasking means that I'm not only drawing what I see, but I try to relate it to everything that I already have. So I look at the shape of the eye, and not only I find this almond shape and I try to replicate it, or translate it rather, but I also look at how much or how far is it from the nostril, which is important to position it. Okay. So I'm not gonna hesitate spending time doing this, because I know that this painting, it's mostly about texture on my case. Everything's pretty neutral. There is no accent color. The most color, it's probably the tongue and my skin on the fingers, but that's it. So I know that palette, that the color palette, it's not gonna be here, the core of the painting. It's gonna be the texture, the way I render the fuzzy hair. So because I know texture is going to be important later, right now, I just want to spend time sketching or positioning the elements. So then I won't have to worry too much about where they fall. I think so. So, and then there's a slight line right here. The distance, the alignment. So I make an alignment between the pearl and the tongue, and I know that I need to move things around. So if you notice, my lines are not permanent. They're not meant to be permanent. They're meant to be moved around. Yeah, I think this is okay. All right, so for now, I think I'm just gonna do this. This would be my structural lines, if you will, and a couple of details. And this was a little bit hard because I didn't have any reference point for the nostril and the eyes. Well, for the eyes, I had this reference point right next to the ear, so I could locate it. Once I have this, I can use it as a pivot to find where this is gonna be and how far it's gonna be from the edge. And then once I have this too, I can triangulate the rest of the features with the other eye and find out that this is too far. I think it's a bit too far, but we'll see. From this nostril, and also how high or low it is from the other eye. So, and I hope you guys are already sketching and washing, but it's important for me to articulate these steps because I want you to understand that integration is important, and it's all about finding relationships, because it's not enough just placing one object and then moving to something else. You've got to place the object and find out what the object, where the object is in relationship with something around it. Yeah, and you have to be prepared to change that, because it will happen from now until the very end. And as I say this, before I move to the shading, I forgot to say that if you have a bunch of screens on your computer or laptop that are empty, and we only leave two video feeds on, mine facing and then my work. there's an option to hide every single screen that it's not showing. So if you just hover with your pointer to any of the screens, any of them, active or not active, you're gonna see 3 blue dots. That means that there's a drop-down menu. You click, and then there's gonna be an option on the list, on the drop-down list, that's gonna say hide non-video participants. If you do that, then you're only gonna have 2 screens on your laptop, and then you can expand the view so you have a little bit more of a larger size that you probably have. Otherwise, the video screens will be on your end very, very tiny. So it helps a lot when you hide the non-participant video and then you just have 2 screens. Anyhow, that would be the introduction that I should have said at the very beginning. And but I say right now. So I'm gonna use a different charcoal and I'm gonna start shading. I squint my eyes. I don't worry about the nostrils. So eyes. What was, Jen, what was the part of the face below the nose? It's not
again like that. It's like a PH, like filin.
Yeah.
Philindrum? Let me look it up.
Philtrum? No.
Philtrum. That's totally it. Mm-hmm.
So dogs have philtrum the same way we do have philtrum. It's that part above the lips that connects with the nose. Pretty much all mammals have philtrum, you guys. I love. We have something else in common with our pets. Yeah, so the philtrum is really important on cats or dogs. They all have it. So I'm just shading because I know when I shade, I have a better understanding of the position of things. So I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail. But yeah, I'm just pretending that this is black and white. Yeah, already I noticed that there are certain things that I need to change. Yeah, I work with both hands. So both of our hands are dominant when it comes to painting and drawing. So yeah. Oh, I love this so much. Thanks guys for joining us. This is such a great subject. Can't believe we haven't done it. I don't know why. But we try to be creative with the subject matters. And this was a no-brainer. So maybe that's why it didn't come up earlier. And later when we have our Q&A or discussion, we are curious to find out if you guys have noticed any changes in the routine of your pets. Because it's kind of like a poop show in our house these days, in that sense. Our times are all over the place. All right, so I need to stop because I'm finding that I'm having way too much fun and I'm drawing rather than sketching. And I make a distinction. The purpose of sketching is to just map out and I love this sketch already. This is going beyond, oops, apologies for that. All right, so I just, thank you. And no, thanks. So I'm already going way too far with my sketch. Time-wise, I haven't checked my time, but I think we're okay. I'm just gonna shade the outside just because that defines also his shape. from the outside. And maybe just clean it up. The purpose of a sketch is to map out our areas. So it's important to know this because otherwise we get carried away and then we do too much on the sketch and then we feel frustrated because we are destroying what we've done and it feels counterintuitive. For the longest time, I always thought that, you know, it's something that we have to assume that that's going to happen. But it's not the case. There's no such thing. If we understand the function of sketching, then we know when to stop. And the function of sketching is just to allow us to map out the main areas and the main dark values, essentially, on our format. So once we have that mapped out, which means it's just a draft and it's a guide that will allow us to build on and create layers. But a sketch is not a detailed rendition of the subject. That's a drawing. And unless we're honest about this, we'll feel when we start painting that we're destroying or something's wrong about what we're doing, and then we are losing definition and it's not going well. So I'm at the point that I did too much because I started getting engaged and I wanted to do more. So I know that this will lose definition, but yeah, it's a good opportunity for me to explain exactly the function of sketching. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start my wash. And I'm gonna use the big brush first. My brushes, I have a bunch here, but they fall into three categories. One big one for the wash, one medium one for details, I guess, and the tiny one if I really need something very specific. So what I have here is I have a big one, I have three medium ones, and then I have two tiny ones. So it's good to categorize them. I have them because I've been using them, and the reason why I have them all here is because maybe I can use one medium for the dark notes and another medium, different one for the lighter notes. Don't worry if you have only one. We really can paint with the bare minimum and it's okay. But after 17 weeks, we're getting fancy with paintbrush usage. So yeah, so I'll just use the big one. I'll use my rag if I have it, yeah. And the two liquids, the mineral spirits, a solvent, or whether it's mineral spirits or hopefully non-toxic form of turpentine, which it exists. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Anything that thins out the paint. Mineral spirits is great because it doesn't create that much fumes. And then I'm using a fluid that's a combination of an oil and a medium. Again, this is something that over time I decided to add. You can use oil, linseed oil strictly, and it's fine. Or you can use a medium. A medium is a synthetic resin-based fluid that will help you with the fluidity of the paint, and we need it. There are dozens of kinds of mediums. So we use one that is solvent-free, and it has a drying component that it's medium, I guess. So you have mediums that dry paint faster, like gall kits, mediums that keep the paint wet for a longer time. You have mediums that are thicker and mediums that are thinner. So it depends on what you want, but an average medium for me works. So what I also decided to do is I poured a little bit of the medium and I got some poppy seed oil, because it's a little clearer than linseed oil. It's not super transparent, but it slows down the drying a little bit. And since our work will be in progress at the very end, I like the painting to be still a little bit wet in case I want to do something over the weekend. Anyhow, so all that to say that I'm starting the wash. I'm starting the wash. Yeah, and what's the wash? The wash is a layer that's meant to prime the painting surface. So now I'm not referring to this as the format. Format, it has to do with size and shape. This painting surface, it has to do with the quality of whatever you're painting on top. I always go over this every single time. I hope you guys are not bored with that distinction. But yeah, the function of the wash is to prime the painting surface. I'm using cotton paper, so it's much more porous than a board, a gesso board. So even if you paint on plastic, you still have to use a wash to seal the charcoal or whatever drawing agent you use. So a little bit of turpentine. I'm gonna use grays, darker to lighter, squinting my eyes. Yeah. Don't worry about what's happening here. Try not to think that this is what's the most important thing in the painting process. It's only a consequence about what happens somewhere else, in our heads, in our eyes, the decisions we make. So break up with your results. We're not interested in judging our process based on what happens here. I know this is very dramatic, but it helps me a lot because then I feel like I'm not catching up to the process. Everything that's important is happening in my mind, and it's happening through observation. That's what's important. And it's going to take a while to rewire our brains, and I feel pretty strongly about this. So don't argue with me. It's going to take a while to rewire our brains to understand that we're better off when we think of this as a consequence of our main activity right now, which is being present and observing and making decisions. Because otherwise, what happens is that we think this is important, and then we get trapped thinking, this is not looking good. This should look like something that it's not really looking like. And then it's like a slippery slope to tantrum moment. And we lose, you know. All right, so it's okay. It's really such a powerful act of meditation, the painting process, if you think about it. We have to ground our thoughts into what matters. And that's hard because we get distracted with results. And if this makes it easier, I can always change things. I will never feel like I hit a wall and it's a dead end. There's always a way forward. It may not be straight, but know that this is not an obstacle race that gets more difficult as we move forward. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not a competition with ourselves. Good luck if you find another art instruction that talks about this metaphysical subjects. All right, so I'm just going to move the the inside of the ears are a little bit darker. So since I said I'm gonna go from darker to lighter and I'm still on a wash, I could do this with only one color, but I wanna start introducing a couple of notes. So I'm gonna use a little bit of, yeah, I think so. A little bit of ecru with burnt sienna. Yeah, I think that's good. And making sure that it's not too opaque right now because I'm doing a wash, and it's important to not only uh, understand what matters here, but also be able to find out where we stand in the process. This is okay. Nothing needs to match. Nothing means no color need to match. One step at a time, one brushstroke at a time. Every single particle of paint in your painting surface has importance and contributes to us making progress. There's no ruining it. So yeah. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of the ecru insert. There's not much ecru on his coat. Oh, on my palette, by the way, on my palette, um, I use the neutral tones that we always use, and then the pink and the blue that we always use. And I brought two whites this time. I brought the titanium and I brought the zinc white. Um, no worries if you don't have it, the zinc white, it's totally fine. But I just want to explore a little bit more the usage of zinc white, especially on this subject, because there's a lot of light notes. And last week when we did the ceilings, I realized that when it comes to blending and it comes to creating variations, especially of a high key color, the zinc white can help us create a wider spectrum without risking the effects of a whiteout. We're not there yet. I'm just introducing my palette, basically. So one step at a time. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to use any, maybe I'm just going to use a bit of zinc white, actually. See what happens on this wash. Nothing happens. Yeah, no, I probably shouldn't have used it because it doesn't make any difference. And I'll probably have a little bit of difficulty painting over it. So I'm just gonna go back to turpentine. Plain turpentine, I know that the paper will absorb it and then it also will evaporate. So then there's gonna be such little paint on the paper that the paint's gonna be set and I will be able to cover it when I go on top of it. All right, so I'm getting closer to being done on my wash already. Yeah, don't worry about what this looks like, but I barely put any paint, and this helps me to articulate the fact that all these little metaphysical things are important because they can give you results. Simplify. Painting is difficult, but we have to make it look like it's easy. So that's something that we talked about last week. It's not easy to paint. We have to make it look like it's easy. That's the challenging thing. All right, I caught up with my time. It's not too bad. It's 45 minutes in and I did my wash. I'm just gonna do this. And this is my wash. Yeah. Hi, Ozzy. So anyhow, so this is, it's important to know where we are. And so we can also assess how much time we have and we can strategize about what to do next. So I know that I'm done with the sketch and the wash, and now I'm just gonna work with my first notes, and I'm gonna dedicate 15 minutes to first notes. First notes, I personally define first notes as the stage in the painting where I layer a slightly thicker consistency paint on top of the wash, so it blocks out um, the areas that I washed. First notes equal blocking out. So color fields. So I'm not interested in defining or finding details or texture right now. I'm just gonna block out. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch from the turpentine to the medium as a fluid. That's gonna help me create the consistency that I need right now. If I put too much of the fluid, it's going to be a wash over a wash. If I put too little of the fluid, it's going to be too oily, and that's going to give me problems if I want to work over it. So I just have to gauge how much medium and how much paint, and I don't nail it at the first strike. It takes me 3 or 4 times of mixing and then applying to realize that the consistency needs to be a little bit thicker than the watercolor like that I used, but not too thick that becomes too oily. And I'm going to use the medium brush. So I'm switching from the big brush to the medium brush. And I'm also going to follow the same order, darker to lighter. So there are a lot of things on that list, a lot of things on that list. Oh my gosh, we were making fun. Jen, you can jump in right now, but I'm gonna make you laugh because I just have to say 5 words. Let me see if I remember. Something, a person, man, woman, camera, TV.
Dying. It's actually the reason I know the order. It's person, woman, man, camera, TV, because one of the best tweets I saw was one of Johnny Carson with the envelope on his head.
Wait,
And
what?
you remember when Johnny Carson used to I don't know if you watched Johnny Carson ever, but he used to pretend like he could read, you know, minds and tell the future or whatever. And one of the things he would do is he would put an envelope to his head and he would try to guess what was in the envelope. Everyone's saying yes, yes, yes. And the clue for this particular thing was Trump saying what he loves from least to most. And if you listen to it, it's person, woman, man, camera, camera, TV. It's perfect. Anyway, totally off subject, but hi.
No. Thank you, thank you. We needed that, and culturally, I don't have that connection because I know the show, but I don't know that he did that. So thanks for giving me the context. But yeah, a lot of great tweets this week. I just can't. And for those of you who may not know what we're talking about, we can talk about it later. I don't want to spend a single second. I'm just gonna go down that list because I already forgot what I was gonna. Right, Jen?
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. It'll be fun.
Yeah. If anyone has a doubt about what this is about, we'll just tell you later. And hopefully, if not, we can just all laugh together. I brought it up just because I forgot the list of things that I said for the first notes that I did. Change the brush, use the medium as the fluid to mix with the paint, the darker to lighter, check the consistency. So basically, yeah, I just tried to make a joke that I already forgot, but yeah, I'll remember. Anyhow, sorry, my mind is a little scattered, but all right. So I think you're gonna not like me right now because I'm gonna bring a new color that I bought, Van Dyke Brown. Don't panic, because if you don't have Van Dyke Brown, it's okay. You can make a version of it if you mix the Payne's Gray, which is a cool gray, and the raw umber. If you mix those two together, you're gonna warm up the black and it's gonna give you a really rich color. So I'm saying this because on Ozzy's face, the blacks are really warm. So since I have it, and I apologize for this jump, um, I'm gonna use it. Again, we're getting super fancy, I guess, with the colors. Van Dyke Brown. Um, Only if you feel you want to go paint shopping somewhere, or you want to place an order of materials online, only if you're there, I would say add to that shopping list two things: zinc white and Van Dyke Brown. Yeah, it's a warmer black. So blocking out, yeah, just painting the nose. Darker to lighter. Remember to look at the subject. What's important right here is to just spend more time looking at the subject. And I'm saying this repeatedly because I find it hard myself. So I essentially say this to myself. I'm trying not to fuss with the painting. Um, I know that's not really helpful because I don't like when I read something or I see someone say, "Don't fuss with it." It's not of use for me. I just can't. What? It's like someone telling you, "Relax." I think it's aggressive when someone says that. It's so passive aggressive. So what does it mean not to fuss with it? So I try to minimize my interventions right now, and try not to go down the rabbit hole of developing things too much. There's a fine line between applying paint and pursuing a realistic effect on what we're doing. So I know that I have to contrive myself. I think that's the word, hopefully, and make sure that I don't go down that path. Um, so that's what not fuss with it means. Hopefully that was a little bit more useful than just say don't fuss with it. It's such a useless comment to see if you think about it. Yeah, so I'm sticking with darker to lighter. For many reasons. Technically, it's better to have dark, wet darks underneath. It's easier to put lights on top. That's the main reason. The second reason that I found, it's that for me, blacks they serve as anchor points on my painting. If I put those on the painting, then I can find better alignments and relationships with everything else. So yeah, technical reason first, but then almost a compositional reason. All right, so I think I'm going forward. First notes, I have 10 minutes before the first hour. This is not just about painting by numbers like stage where I have lines and I just fill in inside of the lines. This is beyond, it goes beyond that. Um, I block out areas, but I don't stop multitasking. I still find relationships between elements. So even though I'm uh, sort of like isolating my application of strokes in certain areas, my eye is not working in an isolating way. I try to find relationships between things. So I make sure that I take this as an opportunity to continue the drawing stage. Painting is drawing, and that is a fact. Drawing is the foundation of everything. And then we just apply some wet stuff on top and make it pretty. But the drawing component doesn't have a termination. And then from that point forward, it becomes painting. The foundation of everything is drawing. And then the painting is a stage of that, if you want to define it. So it's important to define it like that, because we have to understand that when we apply brushstrokes, the function is not just to coat areas and color things. The function is to integrate with the rest of the surrounding elements. So the edges continuously change. They're not in the same position all the time. Um, and that is important because I feel I had time this past gazillion months to watch some painting tutorials to learn about how people transfer information. And I find that I, I, I put myself in a beginner's shoes, and I find that I cannot use that information. It's just impossible to not just make sense of it, but the premise is that the drawing takes place at a certain moment, and then the drawing stops, and then you move into the painting. And I feel like that it's not exactly how it works. I see teachers that use grids, for example, and that's fine. But then they have this absolutely realistic uh, drawings that they're ready for paint. This is not how it works in real life. The drawing continues even as we paint. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone, but I'm just putting myself in beginner shoes and finding out what I can use. How would I be able to use that instruction if I were a total beginner? And some things may make total sense, but some things I just can't use them. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to the background. And for the background, I'm gonna use a coal gray, the Payne's gray. And right now, I'm just gonna leave a little bit of distance because there's this fuzziness. I'm not gonna bring the gray, the coal black, I'm sorry, the Payne's gray, all the way to the edge, because this is gonna be fuzzy. So if I just perfectly cut it right now, I think I'm gonna have some problems with the paint. So I'm just gonna darken this area a lot from the outside, and then tentatively approach the paint closer to that edge. So I'm gonna leave this as the battlefield between the fur and the background. But I don't wanna have too much paint. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comb, already it looks like fuzzy and I didn't even need to do anything. And I want you to consider that in any of the areas around your image that may be fuzzy. If you put paint too close to each other, you'll have a hard time creating that fuzzy effect. So to create the fuzzy effect, it goes both ways. We have to comb the brush strokes out on one way, but we also have to comb the strokes in on the other way. It doesn't work only one way out and that's it. So we have to sort of like do it from both sides. So if you put too much paint on one side and too much paint on the other side, that combing is going to turn into a muddy area because there's going to be too much paint to create definition. So that's why I don't put that stark black, the paint's gray, too close to the edge, because I want to first see if I can create some of that fuzzy effect, and then I'll just bring some of the dark in. I'm being cautious. I said it, I think, last week. I feel like politically really like left of the left. At least I think that way, although I have so many privileges. So, but I feel like when it comes to painting, I'm pretty conservative. And for me, defining, you guys can record that and then use it against me. Defining conservative for me here, it's not taking too much risks at the very beginning. So that's what it means. Who said that? I think someone said, someone defined themselves as a communist, a royal communist, or some politically, meaning that they believe everything should be free, but everyone should dress like a queen. So I think that's a good political statement. I agree. A royal communist, yeah. So I think that's my party affiliation. All right, what do I do with the background? I think I'm just gonna, I have some time. Yeah, I have a couple of minutes. I'm gonna use the big brush. Whoops, I'm gonna hurt myself. And I'm gonna darken that area. A positive space and negative space are equally important. So we think that we wanna make our pets look like our pets, and the ceiling and the rug and the ground are just, you know, accessories. From a painter's perspective, every square inch in the painting has the same importance, whether it's the expression on the eyes or the you know, the linoleum on the floor. It doesn't really matter. So knowing that that's the case, what I'm doing right now is bringing some TLC to the background. So now it's going to help me. I know it's going to help me. It's the negative space is the underdog of the painting. And I always like to root for the underdog. Direction of the brush stroke, it goes all over the place. So I try not to make replicate the same direction. So the reason is because if I do, I just create an object on the painting. So I try not to create an actual object with my strokes. So that's why I either hatch it or use circular motion. It just depends. Yeah, so another step, first notes, maybe I don't have time. We started like a little later, so I'm just gonna still consider this first notes. And what I'll do is, oops, that's a lot of color. I'm gonna try to build some opacity, some form of opacity to other areas. Maybe right now I could start bringing some white. I'm going to use titanium white. I'm not going to use the zinc white. And I'm just going to block it out without being too defining. I'm just blocking out some white. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to paint it all the way to the edge of the shapes, because since I know that painting is drying and the edges may change, I don't want to make it difficult for me to make changes. So I know that certain areas are white. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna apply some white without being too contained. So that way I know that I won't have to do a lot of corrections or deal with like having white paint underneath and then trying to make it darker and not being able to just because it's wet. Here we go. And there's a little bit of blue here. I'm already jumping to second notes territory right here, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm already applying some blue. All right, so I'm just gonna move to the next stage. 1 hour in, I'm not completely unhappy with it. I feel in regards of the first notes, I should have been able to block out a little bit more than what I did. I just blocked out a few areas, but I feel like it's not enough, but it's okay. I like the stage. I'm gonna move to second notes, and that's gonna take mostly the entire hour. Although I'm gonna pause and find out where I'm at to make sure that I can come up with a strategy with the time that I have left, because that's very important. I don't want to feel I'm caught up with time and then I wanted to do all those things and I just didn't have enough time. So that's why I invite you to pause and pause and find out where we are and how much time we have so we can strategize. Second notes, I'm going to define second notes. It's when we actually start working by location more rather than by a value, which means that I'm not going to go darker to lighter right now. I'm going to pick one section and develop it. Second notes is when I take one area of the painting that has one single layer of color that's flat, and I create variations of that color in value, mostly in value. So I'm gonna go to the ear or the nose, and I'm gonna develop the darker ones and also develop the lighter ones. These are not different colors, they're variations of the same color. So second notes are not about coloring. They're about widening the spectrum of value in color on different areas. I'm still using the medium brush and I'm still using the thicker liquid. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to create darker to lighter areas within each of the blocked out sections of the first notes. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but hopefully it does. I block out first, and then I start the shading after the second notes. So in that sense, I sort of like this diffusion of the edges of Aussie and the definition of the darker areas. So I'm deciding that my strategy with the next, I would say 15 to 20 minutes will be to develop the second notes on the darker points. I feel like based on the time that I have left, I will be more efficient if I just concentrate on those, and then we'll see where I stand, because I love this fuzziness right here. So maybe I could prioritize this and the forehead and leave the rest underdeveloped. We always have to think about strategies, because if we don't and we go by a linear progress, we don't know how long it's gonna take. It could take days. So I like to get a snapshot and then prioritize what I want to do in order to create an effect. But that's me. So let's just go to, so right now I'm barely putting any of the medium because there's a lot of wetness. So I'm trying to just pixelate. I think this is the idea. The photograph has a lot of detail. Our job is not to gather as much detail as we can in as little time as we have left. That's a nightmare. Our job is to simplify what we see in a way that creates an illusion of the essence, and that's period. That sounded very poetic and probably not very useful. But yeah, try not to think that the more photographic you're going to be, the better your painting is gonna be. It's not the case. Simplification. Um, Squint your eyes. Try to find the differences in value within that area. This is not about bringing new color in. It's about creating variations within a section. Pixelation, for me, is the key, to pixelate. And I'm just trying to compare colors. I need some blue. It's very purple. Because I've been looking at this for a longer period of time, I can see now different values and different temperatures. I think that's probably a good idea. I am adding color in the mix, but I am adding color not for the sake of it. I am adding color to change the temperature, not just the value, to change the temperature. In other words, this is brown, period. But within the brown, there's a warmer, lighter, there's a cooler, darker, and many more in between. So I'm using other tones, using pink and blue to create a lavender. And my strokes right now are very pixelated. So I don't hatch, I don't go back and forth. I just try to place something and see what it looks like. The same principle of looking more than painting so applies right now. So applies. Yeah, this is fun. This is, we're now, I think, officially painting. I realize that also it's not only that positive space. There are positive space and negative space within the spaces. I need to work around the nose in order to help the nose get developed without fussing too much with it. So I'm bringing some white because that's pretty stark white. Multitasking, always. We are still drawing, but we're using a brush and fluid paint instead. So think of whatever stroke that you created. How does the final result compare with things around it? Find alignments. I feel like this eye needs to come down a little bit, so I may need to actually move the entire eye down. Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm gonna do, actually. Yeah, that eye needs to come down. And actually, before I do that, I'm gonna move the nose a little higher, and I'm gonna use zinc white for this, because remember when I did the demonstration, the zinc white allowed me to create more colorful light tones compared to the titanium. I just wanted to expand this higher so then I don't have to lower the eye so much. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna bring the eye. The eye is actually the nostril, it's a little bit more towards the left and a little lower. So I'm moving an entire eye right now because I realize that it's not aligned and there's too much distance. And if it doesn't happen in your painting, it means that everything is looking too rigid, because we're bound to encounter this changes and this shifts. It's inevitable. That's what makes painting, in my opinion. So if you don't feel like if you feel like nothing changes positions, um, that's a big. It would be for me a big red flag. That everything's too rigid, because things change. Okay, so I think that's slightly more. I'm slightly happier with that position. I just lowered it a tad. And then I'm just gonna work on the eye. Yeah, I think that made sense. Oh my gosh. When I say that every particle of paint creates an important effect on the overall painting, I mean it. I mean it. Every particle, every atom. Not really, I'm being very dramatic. We are in Leo season. We have to be dramatic. I love this time of the year. Drama. Um, this is the time of actors, by the way, Jen.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm just gonna do some highs and lows on the eye, checking the time. I said 15 minutes. I'm just gonna try to simplify this because I don't want to spend like 15 minutes just on this eye. Just want to make sure that I give myself some time to paint other areas. And I love the Van Dyke brown for the darker areas. I'm going to try to create a darker note. And then, yeah, I think that works. That doesn't read too much like a reflection, but that's okay. It's very hard to see the sclera on pets. That's okay. I'm not going to fuss with it, and I'm just going to go to the other eye. And I think I need to reposition the other eye a little bit more than the first eye. But this is so important. Just remember what I said about the anchor points that the dark areas work as. Grammatically, that was a disaster, that sentence, but you get me. I'm just going to lower this a tad. And then I'll just work with some white on the outside to trim it. So there's the trimming, it's happening already. I think that's okay. I think that's okay in regards of the distance. I'm gonna darken this area. I'm gonna try to paint what I see, because when we do animals, something happens. Oh my gosh, this word's gonna be so hard. I know, Sarah Jennings, you're watching and you're so good at pronouncing it. And you always correct me. Anthropomorphize. We always anthropomorphize. It's not that, but anyhow, we always make animals look like people because we know how to make faces, or we think we know, and then we replicate that onto every animal. We make birds with human eyes, and the list goes on. Anthropomorphize. Jen, maybe you can help me out. You love pronouncing words, don't you?
Oh, good. I think we're missing like a syllable. It's like anthro. Let me look it up. I'll be right back.
Yeah, there's something missing there. Anyhow, yeah. too ambitious. I mean, sometimes I bite more than I can chew with words. And then yeah, it's not pretty.
Okay,
So
we got it. It's from Amanda Carlin, World's Greatest Actress, of course. Morph. Should I unmute her and have her just
yes,
say
yes,
it? Okay, Amanda, get
Amanda,
ready. I'm about to unmute you.
tell us. She's like, forget it.
Seriously. She's like, I'm painting, you fools. Leave me
Okay.
alone.
All right, we'll do it later. We'll do it later. Yes.
Okay. Oh, here she comes.
Oh, am I here? Can you hear
You're
me?
Yes.
there.
Anthropomorphize. You
Anthropomorphize. Okay.
Come on.
Thank you.
All right.
Anthropomorphize. Yeah, I'll practice that along with person, man, woman, camera,
Right,
TV.
The funny thing is I have to poke fun. All the Brits are here today. Craig, Chloe, and Tanya. And I guarantee you all of them are rolling their eyes.
Yeah. That's
Sorry,
funny.
guys.
Okay, so yeah, so bottom line is that we have to, more than any other subject, we have to paint what we see and not what we associate it with, because that's what we end up doing with any painting. We paint associations, not really what we see. It's amazing. We paint all the trunks of trees brown, even though they are not really brown. They are gray and they have color, but we make them all brown, and we make all leaves green, and we make the sky always blue. So this is painting by association. When we paint animals, we have to be aware that those associations come into place, and then we start doing things that look like human-like. All right, so I did the eye, and then I'm gonna do a couple of blues here. And I think I need to do the outside. So there's a lot of testing of color that I'm gonna find myself involved with. I need to test the color because there are so many variations of gray. It's warmer and it's cooler. And as I said, this negative space, it matters as much as the actual positive space, which in this case, yeah, I'm talking about the eye being the positive space and the fur around it being the negative space. I also see, and this is what I meant by paint what you see, darker nodes, whoop, that's too dark, of fur on the outside. So I'm gonna try to soften that super hard edge and making sure that the eye doesn't feel cut and paste. Oops, that's too cold. Yeah, I think that's okay for now. Yeah, I'll just work on the shape a little bit later, but it's very important also to be courageous enough to leave one area unfinished and underdeveloped and then go somewhere else that needs our attention. And it takes courage. And that's something that we see all the time. We see all the time. Because let me try to explain and being appropriate. Yeah, so we feel like we don't allow ourselves to move forward unless we finish somewhat one area at a time. And the problem with that is that when we're focused on one section, let's say the nostril, and I could just go on and on and on for the rest of the hour, the rest of the work drifts away from me, and it gets to a point that I may achieve some success, whatever I define it with, usually photographic, which it shouldn't be the criteria with one section. But the rest of the painting, it's so far away from me. It's so far away in the sense that it's going to take such a long time to bring it closer to what I've done that it just feels frustrating. So it takes courage to just do a few strokes, even though it may not look okay to your eyes, even though it may just be like, you know, this looks completely wrong and it's off and I don't like it. But we have to be courageous enough to leave it like that and then go somewhere else, because otherwise big swaths of the painting will drift away from our control, and it's just going to feel like we have to start a new painting when we get to them. So I'm going to leave that the way it is, period, because I said 15 minutes and I used like 22. And what I'm going to do right now is I wanted to do the mouth because I think that's really cute and important, but I'm going to concentrate myself on the two things that I said would come first. This fuzziness right here, and also the fuzziness on the top of the hair. And I'm going to see how that gets resolved. And then if I have time, I'll go back to the mouth because I think that's going to be important. Maybe a little bit of shading on this side because I want to make sure that the light comes from this direction. So this gets shaded, and see how far I'm going to go. All right, and how am I going to do this? So I'm going to bring some white. I'm going to bring some white and start with the tips of the brush, medium brush still, and in a perpendicular manner. So I'm not using the side of the brush because I'm going to create. What I'm going to do with that, I realize I need to put a little bit more paint. I'm going to try to observe more than paint, realize that this is only a consequence of my mental process, and observe the direction of the growth of the hair, because I'm not going to be able to do every single piece of hair coming out. But I will be able to understand the growth of the hair. So my brushstroke will follow that direction. Perpendicular manner. So I get just a little bit of, I'm going to clean my brush because it's starting to get, pick up some of this I can paint and then pick up some of the dark. I'm so glad I left a buffer zone between the body of the figure and the background, because I can now just pull some of the white out a little bit easier. So my strategy worked in the sense that it facilitated that application. And we don't have to come up with a right strategy, because always know that we would be able to find a solution with whatever conflict that we encounter. So let's say I would put everything black all the way to the edge, and now it's so wet that nothing stays on top. So how would I solve that or dodge that obstacle? I would probably wipe off the black and then just bring the white on first, I guess. So I'm trying to squint my eyes because, yeah. I watched the other day, there's it's a free documentary. What was his first name? Jen, help me out here. Wyatt, the painter who did Christine, the painting, American painter, James Wyatt. Was a big family of painters. Andrew, yes.
Amanda,
yes.
Carlin.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew Wyatt. So I watched, there's a documentary online that talks about, maybe you can find it, Jen, because it's a fascinating documentary. Talks about that painting, Christine, and the fact that we talked about that painting, and I don't know if you remember me saying this, but the painting of Christine, you can pull the painting if you want and upload it. It's this female figure, and we're
It's
looking at
Christina's World, right? Is that what
Christina's
you're talking
World.
about?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, yeah, you got it. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, Christina's World. Did you know that she was actually handicapped in real life, that figure?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. So I don't remember knowing about this, but he had a family member who couldn't walk. I think it was an aunt or anything. And the family member at the farm, she was so courageous, I guess, or so badass that she crawled everywhere. She crawled. And so he painted her. He painted her on that painting, Christina's World. It's her family member that couldn't walk.
Wow, that's amazing. So this is part of the documentary.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you find the documentary, because he was famous, Andrew Wyatt, mostly because he created a body of work, the Helda pictures. I think it's Helda, the Helda paintings that nobody knew.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, nobody knew. And then this is the only documentary that they actually interview her because she was still alive when they did the documentary, and she never gives interviews. So
She
they
was
go.
his lover too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
everything came out. These paintings were
Right.
not supposed to be seen. It was a big scandal, huge scandal. Why am I bringing this? I'm bringing this because those paintings, some of the paintings are hyper realistic, and it's not on the documentary, but you can see that some of the hair that he painted, they look like very fine lines. And so yeah, so this is how I try to paint this, by in a perpendicular way with more paint than medium, basically barely any medium. I'm trying to pull those flowy strings that are weightless, that they don't follow any sense of gravity rule, and I think that's very important. So I'm also saying this because there are some tutorials online from Russia, from some Russian painters that they are heavily into hyperrealism and heavily into the male gaze. So they basically paint a bunch of like naked ladies. And one of the techniques of this Russian painters is to paint hair when the sunlight comes from behind the hair, and how it gets lit, basically electrified. So there's always a tutorial about a naked lady and how to paint that flowy hair. Okay, so put everything together in a pot. Andrew Wyatt held Russian painters painting naked ladies, and Aussie, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. Sorry, Aussie. But yeah, it's you can see it. Well, you can't. I was just kind of like, I haven't done the black yet. So what I'm gonna do, I said I need to comb this out, and I need to comb the dark in. So I'm gonna switch the color, and right now, with the cold black, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring some of this in, and it is the combination of both that actually is going to create the effect of that weightless fur sticking out. And this is important and key in painting fur or anything hairy, because it's not just one thing that does it, and you can see it already becoming something right here. It's not just one direction that does it, it's both. And I'll go even further. It's not just once. You have to do it more than once, 2 or 3 times. Comb whites or from the inside out once, and then comb the outside in, and then go back to the whites and do it again, and then go back to the darks and do it backward again, because that's what it takes. The paint is wet. It's not going to be just one direction that's going to do the trick. Yeah, those two had an affair. I mean, and in the interview, she kind of like leaves it up in the air, but fascinating story. And I just can't believe how scandalous it was at the time. I mean, apparently it was really bad. And look where we are right now. I mean, it's so ridiculous. So I'm trying to bring some darker darker see-through notes inside. So it doesn't look like it's just hair coming out of an edge, but there's a see-through component here. So again, I have to squint my eyes. And slowly, I think you can see it's still, I need to make it a little fuzzier. So I need to bring some of the darker notes. And I'm enjoying this so much because there's so much to play with right now. I try to minimize my intervention. So I try not to put too much paint. And again, I'm being more conservative in the application, but I'm starting to like this section. This is drifting away a lot. So I need to go back there and pull it forward. But it's okay for the purposes of this presentation, I guess, because I think this is important. Now I'm gonna paint the mouth, but really tiny brush strokes and squinting my eyes because I want to find out the temperature of that fur. It's not all the same. I'm gonna bring some zinc white right now because I think I need to create something slightly lighter, but I don't want the titanium to completely obliterate or white out what I have underneath. So for that, the zinc white, I feel like it's excellent. Zinc white is, I would consider it for advanced painting because white, as I said before, it's the color that people use the most and the one that they feel most frustrated about, because even with titanium white, that's the chalkiest and most opaque, people feel like it's not white enough, and they keep wanting more and more. So with zinc, that would just be screaming because it doesn't really give you that whiteout effect. We've all been there. I've been there myself. And then some of the fur, again, perpendicular, barely any medium. And yeah, I can stand those Russian techniques, you guys, I can tell you right now, because it's usually that hair or bed sheets, like figures like there's never a guy, I just can't. There's never a dude naked or something like that. It's always like, so no. No. Yeah, you can leave some of the fur. You can just leave it floating. Not everything needs to be connected. Even if it looks connected on the photograph, there's something about creating that sense of extended fuzziness that, and I need to kind of like, that will be enhanced if you just leave one thread floating. I'm gonna paint the mouth, the lips from the outside. Yeah, this is working. This is working. Yeah, it's sort of working, right? Yeah. I'm gonna make some edges a little fuzzier and bring some black inside, coal black. So I feel like it needs to be percolated a little further. Remember, it takes more than once. It's not just comb here and we're done. It's usually a combination of a few times. And every time I'm trying to be a little bit more specific, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. It's not finished, but I certainly closed that buffer area. And I think this hopefully on your screen explains or looks more developed than it was before. Before it was only a single line, and this, it's a little fuzzier and it's more painterly, and I kind of like it. So perfect. So 12:37. So I have 45, I have 20 minutes. I have 20 minutes and I'm gonna try to find out where I am, and also what can I do with the 20 minutes that I have left, because this is what's all about. It's not just being on a linear path, but it's coming up with strategies to move things forward. So I want to do the mouth. So I think I'm gonna try to do 10 minutes on the mouth. I just want to bring that purplish note on the tongue because that's really cute. I'm gonna try to bring a little bit more definition and connection between the eye and the nostril. And I'm just possibly gonna do some definition on the ears, because I feel like that has definition, that has, oh yeah, I said that I was gonna do that on top. All right, so I'm gonna do the mouth, the ears, and then see if I can bring this fuzziness on top. Yeah, I think so. So I'm just gonna time myself, 20 minutes, and let's go for the mouth. So lavender notes, and that's the reason why we love these two colors so much, the radiant red and radiant blue, which is basically a light pink and a light blue, but Gamblin names them like that. They're both great to cool off or warm up other colors. And they're great to create lavender notes. And lavender glow is everywhere, more than we think it is. So light creates this purplish shades that are everywhere. So that's why those two colors are always present in our palette. So this happens with the tongue right now. And I need to warm it up a little bit. So before I'm using any purple at all, I'll probably, I have the quinacridone red, so I think I'm gonna use the quinacridone violet. Quinacridone, where are you? Yes. So add that to the shopping list. Quinacridone, forget about it. Quinacridone violet, it's a great color to have for third notes on skin tone. Quinacridone. There are different kinds of quinacridones, from orange to purple. This one, yeah, forget about it. It's just amazing. It's good to have for skin notes. So if you, again, if you have that shopping list of paint that you want to order some time in the future, I said zinc #1, Van Dyke Brown #2. You'll be very happy. And quinacridone violet. Quinacridone violet. Yeah, look, that does it already. So what I did was mix the purple and the light purple and the pink and the blue, and then the quinacridone, which is very dark and very strong, made it pop a little bit. It's just enough. I'm gonna darken on the tongue that area and this one right here, and then create a lighter version with the zinc. Remember the zinc, it's a good color to mix with others, creating a lighter version without a whiteout effect. And it's helping me here because I don't want to put a chunk of white and then find myself blending it. I think that's good. It's a little bit on the purplish note, but I'm gonna leave it like that. And I will use the Van Dyke Brown and define the tongue from the outside. Remember, negative space, as important as positive space. I'm going to soften a little bit the color of the lip on the outside with some zinc. Zinc white is wonderful for that. Wonderful for that. It just diffuses edges really nicely without having to use medium. Because usually what I do is I use medium and then I lose body of paint. But with the zinc, I can create something wet and oily and chunky and fade it and blend it. So I cannot recommend it enough for this stage and for you guys. Yeah, so this defines it a lot. And the top has, I'm gonna bring some Van Dyke Brown. And just create calmer shades of the brown with the zinc. Yeah, and then also soften that area. It's all about edge quality. You're gonna see a lot of pet portraits that have very strong edges everywhere. So to me, especially on a furry subject, the edge quality is what matters. It's not the same everywhere. It's not everything perfectly compartmentalized. If you do it, it's going to look like you projected a drawing on the surface, you traced it, and then you colored every single section. What is edge quality? Certain areas may look more focused and they may be sharper, but especially on fur, some areas may be completely dissolved and or blended or smoky or blurry or smudged. So it is the combination or the spectrum between sharper and fuzzier that's going to elevate your portrait from pet portrait to a painting with a pet in it, or a painting with a pet as a subject. That was very Twilight Zone, what I just said. All right, so I'm happy with this. It only took 5 minutes, but I was able to soften it. So this, it still needs work, but yeah, I'm happy with that stage right now. And I'm gonna go to this area right here. I'm gonna go to this area right here. And I feel like for this area, because I think compositionally, if I just bring this counterbalance of the hair on top against the bottom on that other side, I think compositionally it's going to balance the painting for me. Because I have this on the bottom part towards the right, and this flows on the upper part towards the left. So these things are important to prioritize areas of painting. It's not just I'm doing the eyes because that's the expression of my pet. It's about different parts of the painting that you can prioritize or use to help you elevate the entire thing and make it look like it was intentional and easy. Again, it's not easy, but the important things happen here. Yeah, in our minds. In our minds. All right, I'm gonna bring some white, titanium white, because I need a total white out here. And what I'm doing, remember what I said before, hair growth. I'm not gonna be able to do every single strand of hair, and even if I were able, I wouldn't want to do it. But what I'm doing right now, it's spending more time looking at this and finding out what's the hair or the fur direction. If you're doing a cat's face, the direction of the growth of the hair, it goes all over the place, depending on where it is. The brows, the nose, the whiskers. I mean, there's so many directions. So direction of the stroke comes first. Color matching and all that stuff comes after. So that's what I'm doing right now with this. Oh, Ozzy. Oh, man. Kian's gonna cry like a baby when he sees this painting tonight. All right, so this is working. Look at this flowy hair. And I think I'm just gonna bring some gray. Yeah, just with a little bit of ecru to, I'm sorry. Yes, ecru to warm it up. And I combed outbound. My strokes were outbound. I think that's a word. I don't know. And then I'm just gonna comb back from the outside to create that to braid it, to braid the strokes. And there was sort of like a buffer zone here also. It's not just on one direction that's gonna happen. And it's not just once. It's in both directions and a few times. I'm going a little faster, but yeah, I just got the first one out. Yeah, and I need to shred. I think that's the word. I need to shred these strokes right now because they feel very equidistant, and I just need to shred them. But I'm gonna go back from the inside and create more of a white, maybe with more paint and being more refined with the application. And then with the dark inside, I'm gonna do it again. But yeah, and I think I have 10 minutes. I have time because I think the lighter on the ears is going to be so important. It's going to make the ears pop. So here I go. I need more titanium white. Oh. And I haven't used the small brushes. I only use 2 brushes. So what I'm going to do, perpendicular, and I'm shredding the chunks of that darker. Yeah, I think that does it because it's too graphic. It's too, yeah, that's the word, period. It's too graphic. So I need to shred that so it looks furrier. Yeah, and I'll probably now I go inside with a different direction. I squint my eyes because I need to make this fuzzy from the edge. Yeah, I'm gonna leave a few floaty um, strands, Russian style. Oh my gosh, that was totally inappropriate. I've been in strange situation, not anymore. Well, not anymore. Yeah, not as often. Where I tried to make, I attempted to make a joke about a nationality, and um, the other person having some ties. Oh my gosh, I remember. Denise, if you listen to me, I remember at Artworks once, I was making fun of the French, and I had no idea that Denise is married to a French person. And I was mortified. Oh, I'm still young. There's so much to learn. So if you have any Russian descent, I am sorry for my joke. I will
Knowing
always.
Denise, she totally handled it with like grace and beauty and was, I'm sure, lovely, lovely about it.
Oh yeah, were you there, Jen? I think you were.
I'm sure I
Yeah.
was.
No, Denise. Talk about composture, or because we've seen Denise in situations where someone else would have just snapped, at the um, the pub. Oh my gosh, my brain.
Yeah, stalking horse.
The stalking horse. My gosh, Denise. Yeah. No, talking about grace that you said, Jen. Denise is a very graceful in that sense. Anyhow, so yeah, going back to, I'm just kind of like drifting away right now. So I wanted to go to the eye. Let's be disciplined and try to focus on what I was doing, which was trying to comb back a second time, a second round. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it just creates an effect. It counterbalance. There's still so much work that I would do right here. But I just think it's working. It creates a certain movement, and it makes it more, yeah. And all of a sudden, this open so many opportunities because to do the same. Because now I see the same fuzziness on the ear, and I want to do it too. Because that's, yeah. We were talking yesterday about there's a point in a painting that the relationship between your decision making and the progress of the painting become self what would be the word, self, it feeds itself. It just becomes, it generates its own energy. So first we just have to contribute, add, build, but there's a point where it feels like now the painting is informing me, so I can just work on the painting and it continues to inform me. So it self-generates. Yes, it's a self-generating energy, and that's when my adrenaline kicks in. It takes a long time, but when the painting starts self-generating data and information that allows me to feed and extract and provide, I feel like now I'm on a roll. And I don't care what this looks like, but I think that's how I would define it. We were talking yesterday also about people in throughout human history trying to invent a self-generating energy machine that would solve everyone's problems and the world's energetic problems. And they've been, I think, on Wikipedia. Jen, if you want, you can find out, because there's a history of um, people trying to invent a self-generating machine, and it's never happened before. It's never happened before. But you know, And I know, I mean, there are YouTube videos of people claiming that they just came up with this with water. It's usually kinetic force, and they try to bring the kinetic force contained within the same receptacle. And then they say that that does it. It's fun to watch, actually. What I'm doing, and that was a huge tangent. What I'm doing right now, it's in the last 5 minutes. I'm gonna just give it more. I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes because we started a few minutes late. I'm trying to bring the highlight, the tips on the ears, and that already does create an effect. Yeah. Whoops. Example. I'm using titanium white, and I created a whiteout effect here. It's too chalky because it's not as chalky on the painting. So this is the issue with titanium white in a practical way, in a way that allows us to understand why it could be problematic. Because without understanding what this does, what I would do is I would clean my brush and I would blend this to sort of like fade it. And then what? So what would happen is that that area would be much lighter, which would create an awkward illusion on the painting. And then I would realize that probably it needs to be darker, but I wouldn't be able to get it darker because I have the titanium white blended underneath. And then all of a sudden it becomes the black hole of the painting, and then it just becomes bigger, and then we're like lost. So how do we maneuver? So we're better off, you guys, wiping off the titanium whiteout, and then just bringing a softer note on top of it than trying to blend it. And that's something new for me also. Something new because I just started using the zinc white last week. But now I realize what I did before in order to compensate or overcome things that happen when I use the titanium white. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too dark, but I'm just gonna fade it with some zinc white. Yeah, I think that does it. So yeah, I think that little bit, it's what a precious, I don't like to throw flowers at myself. What a precious painting! Oh. Anyhow, so there's a bunch of like gray here. This needs to be totally brought back. It needs to be resuscitated. It just drifted away so much. And I haven't done the pearl right here. And I think this needs to be a little bit darker because I feel like there needs to be a continuation of on the background, deeper black or deeper gray or darker gray here and fade it into lighter. So there's a lot of things that I'm assessing right now that I would need to do. But for now, I'm just, I said that there was something here that I needed to do, and I'm gonna do it. So a little bit of zinc white and the blue, because I feel, yeah, I need to connect the nostril, the nose with the eyes. Because there's a disconnection right here. And I feel like if I'm able to connect this, it'll feel much more interesting. It already does. It just creates a sense of this protruding outside of the face, whereas before it was just cut and paste. So that alone helped. I'm gonna comb some of the darker gray in because right now it feels very compartmentalized, as you can see. And this is a chunk of hair that grows on top of it. So I'm gonna give you, well, we have a couple more minutes, but I'm gonna give you the preview of the agenda for the next hour. We're gonna take a 10-minute break. I'm gonna drink and stretch. I beg you, stretch, because we are so engaged that our shoulders and our back starts to get tense. I'm gonna try to, first of all, take a picture of your work and upload it or send it to Jen. And I'm gonna try to organize it before the 10 minutes so we have it in order. And then we'll just have a different conversation about the feedback, questions, things that may come up, stories, and yeah, so that's gonna be the next. And I'm gonna do a few strokes and then we're just gonna go over this. Yeah, darker here. That creates some perspective. So much that I wanna, now that I can see right now, there's the white on top of the eye. That kind of like helped a little bit, as you can see. It takes more than once to braid it, braid the brush strokes. I think that's the best definition, I would say. All right. The paintings right now, they will go very fast in development. All right, you guys, I'm gonna pause the video and the camera and we'll see you in 10 minutes approx. Okay, bye now. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. And here we go. Yes. Hi, Jen, can you hear me? I hope you can. Whoops, that cable is crazy.
I don't know if you called me, but I'm here.
Okay, all right, perfect. Yes, yes. That was so quick. My gosh,
I know.
Guys.
So I just have a little bit of housekeeping. If you could wait to do Sarah Jennings until the end, she had to step out.
Okay.
And if anyone else needs to let me know of something, go for it.
Okay, any questions that came up or?
No,
okay.
I saw.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen. And I think it's this one right here. Yeah, I'm gonna share the screen and this is the, yeah, thanks for the links. Christina's, yeah, Andrew Wyatt, yeah. And yeah, that's the, I think so. Yeah, that's the documentary. I think so. Yeah, it's free. I totally recommend it. I learned so much. That building, it's still there, or the farm, or the inspiration for it. And I was just shocked. And by the way, she is also much older than we think she is on the painting. Because when he painted her, I think she was on her 50s. So it's an older, it's not a young figure. It's you can see it on the hands and stuff, and it's much older than it represents. A fascinating story, and some of the hair, actually this is pretty good and interesting that we have this. Jen, thanks for downloading it. Let me see if I can, because we can see here some of his featured hair brushstroke. Yeah, perfect example, Jen. And how he treated it, because he did that with a lot of portraits, the Hilda portrait. Of course, he was mostly a hyper-realist painter in many ways, but I'm glad we brought this up. I think that's a good, yeah. And I just put the photo, and yesterday, thanks Lois, but yesterday, not yesterday, last time, we said that these images, when we see them photographed, it helps so much to find out areas and things that we would do. And it actually does, because right now I know that there are so many things that drawing wise that I want to touch base and manipulate. I think the forehead's too high and I need to bring it lower, and the ears need to be a little bit pinkier. So this is good for me because I understand, and good for all of us. I understand that sometimes with feedback, we can actually visualize things as we compare them much easier than when we work on them. So it helps me a lot to put it side by side and see what I need to work with. I feel like the ear, it's a little bit too small here, so I would just change that. And I still need to do the fingers and the stuff at the bottom, but I mean the pearl. But I see so much. I'm happy about the tongue and the nose, but yeah, there's so much that I need to change. And I think I'm gonna go to, I don't know if Chloe, are you still there? But thanks for uploading the picture in your studio. And Craig, if you're there, hi. Thanks for joining us. And that's an awesome, this is a
Hi.
huge,
Hello.
hi, hey,
Hola.
hola. Okay, so this cat is huge. Who is the cat, or do we know the cat? That's not the neighbor's cat.
She's just a local cat that lives near the cathedral, and no one really knows who she belongs to or where she lives, but she's very friendly, and she'll come and sit in your lap and fall asleep and have a little chat with you.
Wow. And obviously people take care of her because she
Yeah.
looks really
Yeah.
great.
She's kept a lot of people sane throughout lockdown, and I know we couldn't, anyway, you're not supposed to be stroking animals, but we couldn't resist.
No, is there a cat colony in that area? Is it someone to
No.
take care? No.
No.
She just hangs out,
Wow.
and she'll just come and sit on your lap. She's very friendly.
Oh. Well, that's an incredible image, and I love that you brought the figure in it, Chloe. So great combination. And beginning stages, I think it needs more work in developing mostly the background, I would say. But
Yeah, that's my one, by the way. It's not Chloe's. That's mine.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing. Oh yes, I see the note right here. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say the background.
Yeah.
And what else? I would possibly also ground the figure. Yeah, so I would just ground it, and I would work on second notes on the pen, so it looks like much more cylindric, so it has more of a form, because you have that illusion on your sleeve. It creates a separation between the sleeve and the body, and it also looks round. So I would apply darker notes on the denim underneath.
Okay.
And I would say, yeah, I would say, I think so. Yeah, possibly I would work on making a separation between the head and the chest, because right now it feels all together. So I know that it's challenging because it's barely visible, but between the mark and a slightly darker line right here, it would kind of like separate both areas. So the face looks great. So I wouldn't work. I mean, I love the look of it. If you want to work on anything, because the facial features, for me, they're enough. But variations on the value. So maybe lighter on the forehead, a little bit lighter.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll do that. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thanks for joining this. This is fantastic.
No problem. Thank you. Great session.
Cool. Yeah. And this, Hania. Oh, okay. So, and Amanda. Okay. So, I think Hania. Hi. And as usual, I love how you take the time to just do the sketch. It's a great image. It reminds me of paintings by Toulouse-Lautrec of people sleeping in beds. And
Excellent.
I love those paintings. He made a few. there's always a couple on in the bed, and then in one of them they're kissing, and the other one they're just kind of like sleeping. But I say this because the challenge here is to make the figure look like it's reclining on the pillow. So I love the
Yeah.
hair, so I think that's going to be important, because I think, yeah, and I love the sheets. I think that's also something really interesting that I would incorporate, because there's not that much background. So I love that the figure is sunken into the pillow.
Yeah, I just want to keep her quite subdued and out of the action, and bring Hamish more into the more of the feature.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and in a way, I mean, I like that there's a glow of the same temperature, so you could really make it very abstract-like.
Yeah.
And then bring,
Yeah.
oops, sorry. So in that sense, yeah, the beginning stages, and you're using canvas this time, right?
No, I'm actually using paper. Yeah, just
paper.
regular. Yeah, and just no background, just washes and charcoal.
Are you going to use acrylic or oil for the paper?
No, I'm using oil. Right now. Yeah, cool.
So is this regular paper or oil paper?
It's just oil paper,
Okay.
and I've charcoaled over. I've given it a wash, and I'm just building up my washes and
Okay.
Yeah, going for it. But I would like to sort of keep my granddaughter sort of quite like warm, but not the main
Right.
subject there. You know, just bring Hamish more into it, because she's a real animal lover.
Oh.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And he's gorgeous.
Yeah. I think that's a good strategy. I just can't wait to see what it looks like, and I love your process. So, and I like how you have a wide spectrum of finishes in a painting, and I think that's very important, and it's one of your strengths, that not everything is finished at the same level. You have things with more detail and things. I mean, one of the paintings that I can remember that stands out is the geranium painting, and how you brought the black background and then the flowers. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, continue and upload, and I'll give you feedback, and I can't wait. It's a gorgeous composition.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
And yeah, do we have any photo from Chloe, Jen? No.
Let me double check, but
Okay, I'm gonna refresh.
oh yeah, we do. I posted it. It's the Dashend. Is that how you say it? You see the little guy eating food?
Oh,
you just scroll past.
yeah.
Okay, the little guy eating food. And
So
then,
perfect. Let me just that is so cool. Let me just
and then I'm
I'm
going
going to pause this.
again.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna pause this and then put it right next to it. So 1 second. 1 second, because it always helps to compare it. I mean, compare it. Compare it. Just to. Okay, here we go. And then this is it. I'm just gonna continue. Okay, perfect. I love this painting, Chloe.
Oh, thanks.
Well, first of all, the photo is just hilarious and really cute. Love the composition.
My friend,
I like the perspective.
it was my friend's dog, and it was the dog's birthday, so it was allowed to sit and eat food at the table. Don't judge.
No, that's the way it should be. And who is this precious creature, if we may ask?
Buddy.
Buddy. Okay.
Buddy.
Yeah,
wait,
he is.
Is it your new addition?
No.
Oh God, no! It's just a friend of mine. It's her dog.
Okay. No, I'm just curious, because anyhow.
Yeah.
So, and you were at the birthday party, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Yeah. It's a great image. I love the composition. I love the color palette. I mean, I like the stretch of the plate because it exaggerates that perspective. And you also brought something that the photograph has that's very interesting, and it's the layered um, pieces, because the plate shows that it's not fully on the table, but it's sticking out. And then he is behind it, but at the same time, the nose is over it. So that complexity really makes it very dynamic. And then you have the pillow, and then you have the chair. So compositionally for me, it's brilliant. If anything, it would be like this being so close to the edge. It doesn't bother me at all because I feel like there's so much complexity on those layers, especially his body being under the plate and the nose being over the plate. So that alone creates a lot of perspective. But this is like on the edge. It's very, I mean, it is really close, so never mind. So in any case, what I would do possibly, I would bring that shadow even a little bit higher. So it looks like it's really intentional because, so the darker shadow, bring it a little bit higher. So it's not just on the narrowest part of the composition.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very Hockneyan in the application of strokes.
Are you surprised that I chose to draw something that was round at an angle?
What do you mean? Oh,
I'm so bad at drawing like round things at an angle. It's like I just can't, my eyes cannot process
oh,
the angle.
really? Well, you did a great job on this one. I'm glad I'm glad you chose it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I think you did a great job. So, I would say I love that red. So if you wanted to amplify or yeah,
I did have a
augment.
pinkier red, but I couldn't get the lid off it, so I had to use like an orangey red. But I'm gonna buy a new one at some point soon.
I mean, that would be if you wanted to, because it's such a color intensity. It's such an accent color. I'm sorry, that's what I wanted to say. So I think that could make it even more dynamic because you would bring like a punch of color in between the layers. So that could be a good idea. And also, if anything, I love the rendition of everything, but there's a little bit of shadow on the food that makes it look like it's sitting on top of the bottom of the plate. And I feel like this feels very flattened. So I would bring some shading on the actual food, so it looks like it stands out. It's on top of a surface. It's not just painted. Maybe also in regards of value, a darker value behind the mouth right here would also make it look like there's a light direction. Because right now it's very even. It is very even. You have the highlight right here, but this area it's slightly darker. So I would, if you make it slightly, you did, but a little bit more. So it's just gonna have more perspective. And then, yeah, the background looks great. I mean, I love the color of the chair. I mean, if you wanted to develop this a little bit more, I like that idea of lighter on the right and then it becomes darker. So you could, if you wanted, increase that and then make it darker. So there's more of an interesting variation or gradation on the background.
Okay.
But it stands, I'm being very forensic on my analysis because it stands on its own. It's pretty strong. It's very interesting, and yeah, it has a very dynamic composition. So well done. It's a good painting.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for joining us. We miss you guys.
We miss you too.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Oh, I don't know where we start with. I mean, I noticed that there's a few more. So I'm just gonna go. Oh yeah, so Claire, I'm just gonna go to you. Hi, Claire. and I'm gonna put them together, and so we can just go back and forth. Here we go. That's it. So yeah, are you there?
Are you there, babe? I unmuted you, but oh, there you go.
Yeah, hi, I have the version. Can I upload it? I've been working diligently.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah, and in the
If you want to go to someone else, that's fine.
okay, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. This is like Lois. This is just incredible. My goodness. Seriously. Gosh, I'm just gonna pause this and then put it together.
You cracked me up, Julio.
Well,
I like the tangents today.
oh.
Quite a stew. Quite the stew.
I don't even remember, but yes. Oh, the what? Say that again. What's the what?
All the tangents you went off of,
Oh.
and then put them all into a pot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I hope. Yeah. Well, thanks. You're very kind. Thank you.
So this is Ginger, my Chihuahua.
Oh my gosh. Oh, is this a recent
dogs? And I needed to pick one, and they're all have such different personalities that it's quite a lot of work. These three, but I just thought this particular photo had an excellent composition and had the real feeling of COVID. It's just
good.
There are like this, so
Good. No, I mean, this is just phenomenal. I mean, the first thing that comes out of the painting exploding is the color palette. It's so warm and so rich, and it's pigmented, but it's well done. It's also harmonious in its temperature because it's all basically warm except the cool wedge at the bottom. So that's it's a good incorporation of coolness on the overall. I love on the overall palette. I also love the fact that you chose landscape. There's something interesting about reclining pose that feels different than portrait orientation. So there are a lot of things that stand out. And yeah, the expression, the mouth, the eyes closed. It's not the typical portrait, and that's why I like it. So yeah, and it's well developed. And again, I would say the same thing as with Chloe. It stands on its own the way you have it right now. So if you wanted to work a little bit further, you would only make it so much more elevated, which I think I would. But I mean, and now we can take a magnifying glass if you want and go over details. Not that it's necessary, but I just feel like, for example, you could do a little bit more of the blending of the highlights. It feels very strokey, and I know that that's your signature, or I've seen that in so many paintings, but I feel like there's something almost what would be a statuesque. I think that's the word I want to use, a statuesque, and his lighter yeah, shades. So I would possibly incorporate that the way you did it on the leg, so that works here, and it just creates so much more illusion of a form. I would possibly also incorporate it in other parts that are also lighter.
yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to use the zinc white for that. I kind of put I didn't use white at all, and then I used the titanium to get the highlights, and then I think maybe I'll try and go back using our new favorite paint.
Yeah, it's
good experiment. See if I can smooth her out a little while keeping the color.
Yeah, that's what it does. That's what the zinc white does, and that's gonna be so easy with that paint. But yeah, I think so. I think that's possibly what I would do. And so, and the fabric looks great. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think that's it. But maybe I also love the contouring because there's something interesting about the
Yeah, I like that
highs
too.
and
It
lows.
does look landscapey. That she looks like
Yeah,
a range.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I would, it feels a little bit squeezed in the sense that the shoulder blades and the head are much more stretched out on the photograph, and here are much more joined together. So I don't know
Yeah,
if you,
I uploaded the wrong photograph. I'm using more of a cropped photo.
okay, okay, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. So then, you know,
But I do like that other one. Maybe I should have used that one. Oh well.
there's
It
enough.
is a rush to get ready at 11. I don't know why.
I know.
But I got like 3 hours to get ready. Ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, no, I know what it is. No, 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 no. Just your magic final touch. That's all it needs. I love the tongue so much. That's so expressive.
Buddy's animals.
I know, I know. And then also, if anything, maybe more of a smoky effect on the eye, because it feels like it's very shut here.
Yeah, what was the gray that, how did you use the gray to cool it off? What did you use the blue? Like, I need a cool shadow, you know? See how there's some shadow?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
need,
for
because everything I have on her is warm. And then I put some blue on and it just didn't look right. It looked too blue or something.
yeah, I think the warm, I think raw umber would be the color to use here. Raw umber on ecru maybe, because it feels pretty warm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Lois. Thanks for doing this.
I love your painting. I love the long hairs coming off.
Ozzy. Thank you. Yeah, I'll work on it. Yeah, I'll work on it. This is such a fun assignment, and thank you so much to you, but to all, of course. Yeah, I feel warm and fuzzy doing this. It's good. Is that a good expression? Oh my gosh, I hope it is.
It is. You're good.
Okay. Oh my gosh, Julie, this is amazing. Let me just pause this and put it right next to the photograph, and then we can go over it. I love that you incorporated some, let me see if I can put it, some of the room. I think that makes it much more interesting.
Well, it is a COVID painting because you can see my husband's foot there at the table, and the dog is never 2 feet from my husband, even though I feed him and brush him and walk him. Still will choose to go to Paul.
Oh, well, listen, I just love the low point of view. I think that's very interesting, and the fact that you have so much of vanishing points, or vanishing points that create extension and depth. I haven't analyzed the painting, but this is a key line for me. This diagonal line of the rug just gives you that sense of depth and perspective. Yeah, perfect. I think that's great. Yeah, because I feel like that defines that perspective. So in that sense, I would even, if you want to, I would even make the edge of the rug wider at the corner and thinner at the end of the rug. So create a convergent band on the rug, and then that's going to enhance even further the illusion of depth. Do not even touch what's going on here on the reflection, because this is brilliant.
I don't see your pointer. Where is it?
I mean, I would just keep it. I love the way you grounded him on the rug. That is brilliant. And
well, thank you. I really messed up his snout. He looked much more like himself until I grounded him, and then I cut off too much of his snout. So I have to go back in and make a bigger
I think so.
Chin.
Yeah, but that's something. Yeah. I mean, you can easily do that. Yeah, I think so.
Also, this reads a lot darker than it is. Like the back leg here, it looks like a solid black line, and it's not that way at all. I shot the photo really fast, and it's not quite that dark. There's a lot more sort of golden in here in the dog.
Yeah. No. I mean, if you want, it looks fine. I mean, sometimes there's dramatic effect that it works. So I love the illusion of a form being on top of the rug and showing this sense of like weight. So for me, I mean, lighter or darker or warmer or cooler can work sometimes, but here I just think it's just perfect. Maybe develop this. I mean, the floor it's perfect, but maybe the chairs I would possibly crop them or find some sort of continuation at least behind them or ground them on the rug, because I feel like if you chop them and make it like clearer, then it's just going to feel much more grounded. I feel, because right now they're a little bit diffused, so it almost looks like the ground is reflecting the legs.
Yeah, I only spent 5 minutes on
the
chairs.
No,
you know, I like
Yeah, amazing, and I love Paul's leg right there. I think that's conceptually also very interesting. If anything, if you wanted to make it lighter, because he has the heels on the rug, but not the tips of the toes. So I would.
Well, his toe is sitting up in the air.
Yeah, you know, so I would lift up, make it lighter, so it shows that it's the heel. Good. Yeah, I think that's gonna give even more a sense of perspective than what it is right now. So, but yeah, just concentrate if you want on the snout, the nose, and make it bigger and yeah.
I loved how Paco is crossing his legs both in front and back, forepaws and back paws. He's just so elegant. Yeah. Was he around when you came up for the painting?
Yes.
The painting weekend? He was around, right?
Yeah, yeah. So sweet. Yeah. Oh, and love the color palette, by the way. Love these colors.
Yeah, I sort of toned it down a bit, but
yeah,
I had fun with this. This was really great.
Yeah, good job. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to Denise. Oh, this looks fantastic. Oh my gosh, let me see if I can, oh wait. Yeah, I had it in pause. So I'm gonna, this is now resume. What am I doing? Yes. Yeah, let me see if I can put it right next to the images, because you have a few. Let me see. I have them right up here, right? Yeah, I'm gonna put it right next to the photo. So Thibaut, right?
Right, Thibaut.
Oh, that's such a great photo. And I love the different temperatures that you have. You have a lot of cool lights and you have a lot of warm highlights as well. So, and I like the pillows. Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, so I would say I would work on warm and cool on actually the body. I think this ecru, has a lot of ecru right here. So I would possibly just bring a little bit of that warmth. I like the expression of the face. I would even darken this part a tad more.
On the side there a little, yeah.
Yeah, the light direction is very clear. It comes from the side. So you have a lot of lit areas and a lot of shaded areas. But I feel like if you darken these areas right here, especially, I mean, the color is fine, but I would lighten up this part of the color, because if you create variations of value along the color, I think that's going to enhance the idea of roundness, and also at the same time you're going to knock down the light direction, so it's going to help you. Yeah, I would lighten up that area of the color and darken a little bit the side of the face. Yeah, I feel like this, I mean, I love the haircut. I mean, this is fantastic, but I feel like it's very regular. I mean, it is regular, but I would say I would be more defining with the ears than it is right now.
Yeah, it's just a fro kind of now.
Yeah, which is great, but I would just build a little bit more that shape right here between the shoulders and the face. Look at the distinction between the ear. It's a little bit darker, so it shows that it's on the back. So if you just add it, it's just going to give you much more perspective because right now you only have one plane.
Right.
So I would work on that as well. I love the wash, by the way. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, I would make the mouth less linear. I feel like everything's like too contained on a narrow path. So I would possibly just widen this a little bit more because the way I see it, the darkest parts of the mouth, they're on the corners. They're not in the middle. So I feel like with this, I would soften the middle part, widen it a little bit, and just keep the darkest on both corners. It's just going to give you less of an expression of lips and more of an, you know, the idea of fur fuzzing the line between the lips and the middle of the mouth. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't have ecru though. Do you have any example or suggestion
So,
for that?
yeah, if you don't have ecru, you can use white and a little bit of the raw umber, a tiny bit of the lump, and that's going to give you something warmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should get some ecru. It looks like now that I'm looking at it more carefully too, I see a little pink on the
Yeah. You have so much going on because I love this splush of blue right here, which I think it comes from the light, but this is wonderful. And in fact, if you add this, it picks up a little bit the same color as the tag and also the blue on the pillow, which I think I would develop as well.
Yeah, I want to develop the pillow some more. I wasn't going to put the tag, but maybe I should put it.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, it doesn't need it. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's personal choice. Yeah, but
I had the blue. I started to put the blue in a little bit. It seems to be reflecting from the pillow, but it needs to be stronger. Yeah.
I think so. It's very shy, which is fine, but yeah. Beautiful. And then in regards of the background, yeah, I think that's fine. I wouldn't do anything else because it feels pretty grounded the way it is, so it doesn't need anything.
Yeah, I want to just keep it plain behind.
Yeah, good idea. Good job. Thanks, Denise.
Thanks, Celia. It was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. So I'm gonna move to Claire. That's the latest version. And I'm gonna pause this. I'm sorry, you guys, but I have a little visitor right here too. And then I am going to move.
Yeah, that's the latest version of the painting. And Gremlin hung out this whole time. I don't know if she wanted to make sure I got it right. She thought I was
Trust me.
For a treat.
Yeah, no, I know because I have Shamlu here, and usually she doesn't care. But so I put this one, and I put this one next to it. So and I love the composition. I like the diagonals. Everything that's diagonal on a painting invites to think of depth. So the fact that your corner, nothing is vertical or horizontal, that alone creates a really dynamic composition. So good job with that. Love the texture on the floor. I think that's fantastic.
I spent more time on the floor than anything else.
Good. Well, I think it's time well spent because that really helps frame all the subjects in the painting. The combination of the corner and then the way you did the floor, it's so strong that then it's much easier, or it facilitates the rest of the subject. So I love the plates. I think they're great. And I think, I feel like it feels very much flat against the floor, the figure of Gremlin, right? Yes.
Yes, it's Gremlin.
So what I would do is I would lighten up this area.
Which area?
The area next to the tail, between the tail and the body.
Okay.
I would
we're not seeing your pointer. I'm not sure if you're using one, but we are not seeing
Okay, yeah, so thanks, Jen. So yeah, the area between the tail and the body, there's sort of like a little bit shiny. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't have it sharing the, I apologize. I wasn't sharing the screen. I just paused it. And I think now you can see the pointer. So this area right here, if you make it a little bit lighter, then it's just gonna, I feel like the figure is gonna look more like it's standing up. So a little bit lighter there, and also a little bit darker at the bottom. Notice that the light, it seems like it's coming from the front, from a window. So notice this glow around the figure. It's almost like glowing. And then notice this being slightly darker. So what I would do is I would create more of a lighter glow around it and make sure that this becomes the way it is right now, but lift up the values on both sides. So let me see if I can explain. So a lighter glowy area around, and then notice that this, it's slightly darker compared to both sides. And the reason is because this is a cast shadow from the light of the window, and then it creates this, yeah, let me see if I can use this color, yeah. This area is darker.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I just noticed, I think that's part of her foot, that little white part on the right.
Oh, the white, yeah, that.
I didn't know what that was. It's her foot.
I think that's good. I mean, you can add that. I think that works because that has nothing to do with you know, the light on the floor. But I actually love that. You can add it, or you can just leave it the way it is. I would add it.
My cats have been here this whole time. They know you're talking about that.
Listen, I hear you because Shamlu's like, you know, what's going on? So I think so. Yeah. But that would be the only thing. I mean, that would be the only thing, only because you have such a dynamic composition that I feel I would work to help the figure of the cat be more like an upright position rather than flatten. So I would just lighten up the floor around it.
Okay. Thank you, Julio. This was so much fun. I can't believe what happened was I kept going through photos, and then she showed up right before I was painting, and I was like, okay, that's it. You made the choice.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's perfect.
Thanks, Julio.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks for painting it.
And thanks for painting Ozzy.
Oh. I know. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna move. Oh, before I see the window right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
This kitchen is going to be fully painted by 2021.
No, more reason to kind of like do that glowy thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right above her is the light that I painted last week.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Then I would just kind of like do the glowy
yeah,
thing.
I did it a little, but it not enough. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I can't wait. Yeah. And I'm gonna go to Amanda. My gosh, this looks gorgeous. I love the painting, the palette. It's so it's kind of like a frostiness to it. I can totally see your signature here.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, I don't even know what you mean.
No, but your colors are usually, let me see if I can put it right next to the photograph.
Sure.
They're usually more light, high key in general. Oh yeah.
Is that true? I'm okay. Whatever you say.
I'm just gonna continue. Let me see if I.
Oh my God! While you're doing that, I just can't believe how wonderful all these paintings are. I'm so. Oh God!
Yeah.
Anyway, congratulations, everybody.
So, thank you. Yeah, and thanks for joining us. You know, you're an amazing painter, and it's always a gift when you join. So thank you.
Thank you. What I need most and what I got out of this, I am almost out of breath. Like, in the time frame, oh my God, I was taping, still taping, putting my thing up while you were starting to sketch, and I was like, so anyway, it's really, really good for me to, just amazed at what everybody has done in 2 hours. And for me, I needed that structure. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
No, good. Yeah, I would say compositionally, I think it looks fantastic. I feel like on the photo, the top of the head, it's a little bit closer to the edge. Yeah, no, that's fine. I see the edge right now. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I just thought the whole thing was painting, but now I see the edge and the tape.
Yeah, I actually even extended it. It's
okay.
sort of me that I ran out of room on the bottom. But I made enough extra paper that if I really need to, yes, I let it, I considered myself going off the.
Okay.
Going off the.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
It works. It works because I said that because since you have something cropped on this side, which is great. Then you have the leg really close to the corners, the bottom and the side. So then I thought that this was all painting. So it looked like a little bit off center because there's so much space on top and then everything else feels cropped. But now that I see the edge right here, I see that, that it doesn't, it's not a problem or an issue or anything like that.
Actually, it should almost cut off so that all you see almost is that little diagonal of blue kind of,
Right,
it's like,
right. Yeah, no, that works. I mean, the first thing that also I see is the fact that I would probably, the dark right here, the dark ecru right here, I feel like it doesn't help the figure look more upright because there's something about the background here being lighter in a way. I don't know if it's lighter on the photograph, but what it does, then you have the fur is darker and then the bottom it's further away and it's lighter. So it definitely looks like the dog is laying on the rug, but with the head being upright. But I feel like because it's darker right here, it's a little bit more flattened. So I love how
I'll whiten that out. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, consider it because what you have here, the shadows, the shaded areas, they just ground the figure so well. But because this being so dark, it just comes forward a bit too much.
Gotcha. No, that's an easy fix. It was just about lightening it up because all the real light source is behind. It's an open door behind us with the sun coming through from behind. So I'll just lighten that up.
Yeah, and it's going to help you so much because then this looks so sophisticated and so well detailed. And then the background doesn't need to come forward. Let it fade. So, and then the figure, it's going to look like the legs are on the rug, but then the body is sort of like not laying down completely. So, yeah. I think so. And then the more I would texturize a lot more because I feel like, it's something that I would do on mine as well, but I just feel like it needs a little bit more texture on the hair and fuzziness.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I would just make
That's really hard to do in the wet phase. I'll wait till something dries, I think, and be able to pull.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that's what I have to do.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I also like that there's that much contrast between the right and then the left. And I think you did it, but I feel like I would make it more contrast-like. I don't know if it means making this a little bit lighter, the left side, but there's something really good about this. Look at this solid chunk that's almost vertical. It's really strong, and it's possibly the darkest part of the painting. And I would make this stand out a tad more.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, I think that would do it. I love that you painted the rug. I think that's beautiful, and I would even go further with this gorgeous pink. I love this pale tone.
Yeah.
So I think,
I just did the darks so far.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, because there's the color palette here, it's exquisite and it's so fun.
Yeah.
And there's something also very interesting about the geometry of certain parts of the painting and then the organic elements of the figure. So I just feel like conceptually, I think that contrast can help you a lot to make this more geometric. So then the organic comes forward or comes as more alive almost.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Licorice is 12, by the way. He's 12.
12. Oh my
like
God.
a puppy.
Oh, so precious. So precious. Oh.
Well,
Is it
thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. It's always not just a pleasure, a privilege to have you paint with us. So
thank you so much. Okay.
all right, I'm gonna go to Sarah Jennings, and that will be the last painting that I'm gonna comment on, right? Yeah. Oh no, I have Dina, so I'm gonna go to Dina.
You have Dina and you have Darlene, babe.
Darlene. Okay. Yes.
So you have 3 more.
Okay. So, oh, this is so wonderful. Dina, I love this image of you. Yeah, that's really great. Wonderful. So compositionally, I think there's something that needs to be resolved here because what you have is space that is undefined. So whether you have a different image or you have not the full image, but I just feel like there's something that I would treat or build on here. And yeah, I think that's what I would do. Sorry.
Yeah, the when I cut the paper, you know how I take the 9x12 and I cut it in half, and it's not the same aspect ratio. But I thought I was gonna use that space, and I was gonna make a little poem to go there.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
to use that area.
Once
I'm
yes.
finished with everything.
Perfect.
So
good idea. So then it makes sense. Just make sure that this feels sort of like organically expanded.
that's a beginning stage.
Yeah. No, that's the only thing. And then it'll feel well integrated. I love that you left the space. Yeah, so you have the light coming in a direction that makes the face a little darker. And you know, see how that goes, because it feels like now the light comes like facing the figure, and it's darker in the background. So I don't know. My only concern is that I feel like there's so many things that you'll have to paint from imagination, and that would be a risky territory for me. So just consider that, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Was that a good feedback? I hope that wasn't too.
Yeah. I mean, it was I didn't, when I took the picture, it was the light was from behind and it wasn't really planned. I was trying to take a better picture, but that was the best I just did this morning. So then I just figured it's too dark. So then I just was going to make the painting as if, you know, the light was coming from the front rather than the back.
Okay. You can totally do it and then see how that goes. But for example, in that sense, notice that the hue of the fur and the skin, they're much more similar. Oh yeah, there you go. They are similar here. What am I talking about? Never mind. Yeah, good job. Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, just make sure there's harmony. And you did it. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it just needs to build on what you did, and then yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I can wait. But yeah, if you need any help, just we're here, and we can bounce back any any stage. So
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dina, and thanks for joining. And I'm just gonna do a really quick refresh, and I don't. Oh, is this Darlene?
It's Darlene's, yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Such a gorgeous photograph and painting. I just love this so much, Darlene. The greens are gorgeous. This a sap green, Darlene?
Yeah, I used a sap green and then
That's
I
it.
mixed it at different points. Yeah.
Sap green. I'm just gonna go
I
to the
love
store
sap.
today
I
and I'm
just
gonna
have to
get it.
say I stopped painting at 12:30 because I knew that if I continued, I'd go crazy like I have in the past. So I had to stop, and I'll get back to it later.
Well, it's a very good stage. The green is delicious, and I just love the fact that you added some yellow. It's just beautiful. The composition, this is a beautiful photograph. So I think compositionally, it just depends on what you want because it's a little bit to the left. There's less space on one side than the other, which is fine, but just know that that's happening. So I mean, there's still enough room, but then you did a good thing about developing the greens on this side because I would possibly, develop the greens more here. So it compensates from the figure being a little bit skewed to the left and then having the greens more developed on that side. So, and I would
The
keep
green's
this.
more developed on the left, you're saying?
The green's more developed on the right. I'm sorry. The green's more developed on the right. And then this, I would possibly make it paler. Because what you have is like, the ear is like much darker on the left. So if you put darker green on the left, it's going to pick up from the darker fur on the ear. And that's going to tilt the weight of values too much on the left. So what I would do is in order to compensate, I would make this paler green. So then it just lifts up a little bit the background, so it's not so heavy. You contour the ear with a paler green, and then you can bring more heavy green on the right side. So it just counterbalances from the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would just, I would continue developing values. And I know that this needs more work, but I would work on the eyes. I love the reflection on the eyes. Yeah, I would also make a distinction between the neck and the chin. So it looks like the neck is much more recessed. So I would work on darker grays on the neck and lighter strokes of white on the chin. So the chin comes forward, the neck gets pushed back. So yeah, it's not chunky, it's not pure white, but there's a lightness of gray on the chin and there's a darkness on the background. And I love that the photograph plays with depths of field. This reminds me of the Christopher Columbus painting that you brilliantly did, where the sculpture was sharp and then the American flag was fuzzy. So I would make the body more fuzzy or fuzzier, and I would concentrate more definition on this part, on the nose and the eyes. Because I feel like playing with that depth of field will help you create perspective.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. This was helpful, but like it always takes me so long to finish these things because I have to stop myself.
That's okay.
So next week I'm gonna go from 9x12 to I think 5x7.
Okay.
I think and see if I could
get
more to a third stage by the end of the.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Actually, that is a good idea because you're gonna feel more comfortable and you're gonna be able to develop more.
Yeah.
And then you can always change, which is good. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks, Darlene. Thanks for joining. At another moment, not today. I want all this. Well, let's do it today. I'll give you a minute. Please give us the scoop of Mickey Rourke in the hair salon with all the chihuahuas, Darlene. I'm dying.
Okay. Well, I think this was around in the mid 2000s, 2005, 2006. I was in Beverly Hills at Giuseppe, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Giuseppe Franco Salon, and I guess they're best friends. And so he was sitting there, and there were 6 or 7 chihuahuas on him. Yeah, real little chihuahuas. And he was just sitting there, and I don't know how to explain it. He was so eccentric. He loved these dogs, you could tell. He was in a whole world by himself. He had just had a lot of plastic surgery done, so he looked strange, but he was so confident in who he was, and so like he had like a black leather jacket and tight jeans and all this. And you know what, even with all that plastic surgery, it was a really sexy sight.
Wow, so interesting.
It was really unique. Was
he friendly with his friend and stuff? And
yeah, but he was sitting there by himself for a long time. He wasn't getting his hair done. I think he was visiting the owner. And
the dogs were just kind of like on his lap all the time? Was he doing something with it?
They were all surrounding him. A couple were on the floor, and it was just very unique.
Oh my gosh.
Exciting.
Thank that. I'm personally obsessed because I think he's a complete and utter mess. I
had kind of a good impression of him, because he looked so confident.
Yeah. I love that he cares nothing about
what other people think. I kind of thought that was really neat.
I mean, he wears all this crazy stuff and it doesn't match, and he doesn't care. And then there's a sense of I find it inspiring. I have no idea.
Incredibly cool. He just seemed incredibly cool. I don't know.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I wanted to hear that. I saw your text and I was like, I need to hear that story. Thanks, Darlene.
Thanks.
And I'm just gonna finally, Sarah Jennings, gorgeous painting. I love the golden touches. Oh my gosh, you've gone through a lot. Tiggy, right? Yes. Yeah, Tiggy. You've gone through a lot. My goodness, this is probably weighs more than me. I know.
Well, I have to say, it's reading a lot more pink than the actual.
Oh.
For some reason, I mean, it's. I have a lot of warm tones, but the picture came out more pink. But go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. No, I'm just. I mean. So what's your plan for the background? Just, do you have any idea? Do you want to just leave it like that?
So he's actually laying down in my yard of grass, and the grass is all around him. Right. So I'm going to definitely work with the greens and the lights and the darks and shadow. I only had an hour to do this because I came in late and I had to leave early because I had to pick up the other dog at the groomer.
Oh my gosh, another dog? Wait.
I have 2 dogs. I have Tiggy and have the pit bull.
Okay.
So I had to just like wash the background with sort of a light green. But I plan on doing the grass.
I think regardless, the color is not really important, but what I would do is just ground the figure and just ground it, because the fact that you have a little bit of a halo here, it doesn't feel like it's standing up. So you can keep it this color, you can keep it or change the color, but just ground the legs and then just fade this so it looks like it's far away.
Okay, I've probably got another hour or 2 to work on it, but it's almost like a wash.
No, it looks good. It looks good. One, I'm gonna just point it, but I know that this is so subjective, but compositionally, this is like on the edge.
Yes.
There is nothing you can do about it. It's perfect. Don't change it, but I'm just mentioning it because,
Well, conceptually, and it's kind of funny because this is the kind of dog he is. He weighs like 180 pounds. Okay. So he is too big for the room, for most rooms. So my idea was having him just go completely off the page. And in another photograph, you can see his paws and the bottom paw. I cut it off a little bit too much, but it is right to the edge. I mean, it's right to the edge. So
yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
It's really close to the edge there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's not gonna be, it's perfect. Just pointing it out, you know, and because you cannot. The thing is that, you know, you cannot really crop it, or maybe you can extend it. Yeah, I think you can extend it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
If you wanted to, yeah, truly crop them. Why not? I would.
Okay. I think it would help with the scale is a little bit off.
I would definitely crop it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna,
okay.
Yeah. Give it a try and then see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. I think that'll help a lot, and it really will show the right scale and his size, which is, you know, pretty amazing.
Right. Cool. Thanks, Sarah, and thanks everyone. And know that you can upload. Let me see. For some reason, I just can't. I just can't stop this. But I need to. Never mind. Sorry. So yeah, I cannot bring back my face for whatever reason. All right, so I need to do something here. Sorry about this, but thank you. The paintings look extraordinary. You guys are incredible. Yay! Thanks, Lois. And keep working if you can, and I'm gonna keep working on mine. Upload, and I'll give feedback. What else? The paintings look amazing, but at the same time, I just feel like they were much more complex than. Oh, hi, Amanda. Love your haircut, Amanda. Super cool. Yeah, nice. Hi, Claire. Yay. So yeah, you can unmute everyone if you want, Jen, and so we can. So yeah, so I feel like it's a little bit more complex than I thought. You know, there's a little bit more of a challenging element here compared to last week, obviously, but I'm excited. I hope you guys can continue working if you can, because these are precious, amazing images. And
if you want your whole, just eliminate the screen share, then you'll see your face better.
I know, but something on mine, it just doesn't allow me to stop this. Oh, come on. Oh my gosh. Seriously.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. I can, I'm so silly. I know that there was an option and I didn't click it. All right, Dina, Sarah, hi everyone. Bye. Love you guys so much. Happy Friday. Have the best weekend. And I don't know what's gonna happen next week.
I think we need to do a hair one. I mean, come on, guys.
That's a good idea, actually.
Well, your hair looks great, Claire.
I'll put it on my notes. It's a good idea. Maybe we can do something original about it. But yeah.
Every week has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We trust you.
You guys are incredible. Bye, Jen. Thank you for your work.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Notes are already out, guys, so you're good.
Oh, thank you, Jan.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.